This is the Board of Adjustments meetings. We are still waiting for quorum. We will be waiting 15 minutes. Thank you.
For our attorney, no? Marijuana is here today?
He's gonna be his own soon.
Oh, okay, see, that's how I was asking who's there. Marijuana, are you there?
I don't think so.
What is it, the Board of Commissioners?
I don't think so.
Somebody. So, yeah, so it was like,
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah, and I get it because Father Jose really took over, like took under Father Saul. And it is 6:05. Call the Board of Adjustments meeting to order.
We're starting with item number 2, establishment of quorum. Jesus Ruiz.
here.
Miriam Cruz.
Present.
David Oropesa.
Here.
Ben Aras. Absent. Jesus Miguel Chaides, absent. Albert Lagunas.
Here.
We have quorum with 4 commissioners present. Moving on to item number 3, excuse absent commission members. Do I have a motion?
Did, I know Mr. Chidas didn't, reach out, is that right? But, did the other gentleman reach out to say that he wasn't gonna make it? Oh, no one did? Okay. I'd move to, not excuse them.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion made by Marion Cruz not to excuse, second by Jesus Ruiz. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. Moving on to item number 4, reading of the Board of Adjustment statement. Mrs. Cruz, could you please read the statement?
Sure. The Zoning Board of Adjustment of the City of Socorro is now in session. This board is established under Article 211.008 of the Texas Local Government Code and Chapter 2, Division 5 of the Code. In appropriate cases and subject to appropriate conditions and safeguards, this board is empowered to make special exceptions or grant variances to the terms of the zoning ordinance that are consistent with the general purpose and the intent of the ordinance, and in accordance with any applicable rules contained in the ordinance, and to hear appeals that allege an error on an order, requirement, decision, or determination made by an administrative official in the enforcement of the code. Your application or appeal will be decided only after you have had the opportunity to present evidence before the board for its consideration. Other parties interested in your case may also be heard at this time. No consultation among the board members have been held in advance regarding your case. This board does not act in an arbitrary manner. You may be sure full consideration will be given to your case, and following this hearing, you will be promptly notified of the board's decision.
Thank you, Mrs. Cruz. Moving on to item number 5, swearing in all persons giving testimony. Mrs. Cruz?
Thank you. First, I'll do it in English. Para los que hablen español, los voy a jurar después de que lo hagan en inglés. Whoever's going to be giving testimony or present evidence on any agenda item, please stand and raise your right hand. If you're online, please unmute and go on video. If you would stand, please, and raise your right hand if you're going to be speaking today. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can I get a verbal yes from everyone?
Yes.
Thank you. Ahora en español, si alguien va a estar dando testimonio, va a estar hablando hoy, you guys may sit down, sorry, o va a estar dando evidencias, por favor, levántense y alcen la mano derecha. ¿Jura decir la verdad y nada más que la verdad? Sí. ¿Alguien más? Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you, Mrs. Cruz. Moving on to item number 6, consider and take action on the approval of meeting minutes of February 22nd, 2024. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion made by Jesus Ruiz to approve and second by Marion Cruz. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. Consider and take action on the variance request from the Municipal Code Section 46-236, Section B, Section 7, I apologize, to allow a single-wide mobile home instead of the double-wide mobile home requirement at 421 Valle del Paseo Drive, Socorro, Texas. Mr. Botello?
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Jose Botello, planner with the City of Socorro. Item number 7 on the agenda today is the variance request at 421 Valle del Paseo Drive. And so this request is from the Municipal Code Section 46-236, subsection 7. which is to allow a single wide mobile home instead of the double wide mobile home requirement at 421 Valle del Paseo Drive, Socorro, Texas. So the property owner is Ms. Maricela Morales, who is in attendance today. The zoning for this property is R1, which is single-family residential. The size of the property is 20,000 square feet. And so for the summary, the applicant is requesting a variance to allow a 14-foot single-wide mobile home. For some background on this case, the applicant purchased the mobile home and is required to submit a permit for the placement of the mobile home in the property. The statement of the issue, so section 46-236, subsection 7 of the City of Socorro's municipal codes specifies a double-wide mobile home as part of a set of regulations for the allowance of a mobile home in an R1 single-family residential zoning district. And so staff recommends approval of the variance request from the municipal code, section 46-236, subsection 7, to allow a single-wide mobile home instead of the double-wide mobile home requirement, as it complies with all other additional regulations outlined in the ordinance, and the request meets the spirit of the code. The alternative to this decision would be to deny the variance request. And so in the next slide, you'll see the application submitted to the Planning and Zoning Department, followed by the zoning map. The yellow means it's an R1 zone. The property is outlined in red. Followed by the aerial image. You see the property is currently vacant. And so this is a PDF of the Haciendas del Valle plat that was recorded, I believe sometime in 1986. So the code, as it is written currently, one of the requirements is that the subdivision has to be recorded prior to the year 2000. So this is, evidence that the property is situated within a subdivision that was recorded prior to the year 2000. And so these are a couple of pictures taken from Valle del Paseo Drive. You could see the property is vacant. And then a couple of pictures provided by the applicant of the single-wide mobile home. And on the supplemental documents, you can see the manufacturer date for the mobile home complies with part of the restrictions that are placed with the conditions for placing mobile homes in R1 zoning districts. And then the picture on the bottom is of the size. The red rectangle shows you the size of the single-wide mobile home. And so in summary, the request is a variance request from Municipal Code Section 46-263, subsection 7, to allow a single-wide mobile home instead of the double-wide mobile home requirement at 421 Valle del Paseo Drive. And at this time, staff can answer any questions.
I have a question. In what sort of lot, or where do we allow single, I guess, whatever home, mobile home, sorry, single wide home, mobile home?
So the code states that manufactured homes have to be double wide, right? And can only be placed in subdivisions that were approved prior to the year 2000. So when those criteria are met, there's a few subsections below that. So one of them is the mobile home has to be over 700 square feet. It has to be newer than 8 years old.
Yeah.
So
Well, I read them, and I don't know if I'm on, I guess I'm not on screen, but I mean, if anyone was looking at me, look down at my phone, that's what I was looking at. So I guess, so there's no, I guess, scenario where they're allowed the single, under the code, under the
Correct.
ordinance. Okay.
Because you want them to be double. We want them to be double, right?
And we wanted to be double because,
I'm not sure,
Because it's better to, well, from a perspective of the city, you want to have double because it's bigger space and you have more room for the families, and then you can put singles into a more confined space.
Right,
So-
right. And so that's what I was thinking, because it is an R1. So the idea is that you, I mean, you do have the space, I guess you could say, to put in a larger mobile home. And you said the applicant was here?
yes, ma'am.
Where though?
You're looking for a name?
I'm sorry?
Were you looking for a name?
No,
Oh.
no, I guess I
Browsing.
just had a question. I mean, I know that you got sworn in, but she's the applicant?
Well, my wife, we're both on the same,
Oh, okay. Um,
we're both owners.
do you mind,
Yes.
coming close to the microphone, please? I just had a question about, are you all from Socorro?
Huh?
Are you from Socorro?
No,
Or are you guys from El Paso?
yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Because I saw the application said that, y'all paid for it before knowing,
Yeah,
that was a
yeah,
requirement.
we were not unaware of the ordinance of it. We were told that, we were asking information because it was at least 700 feet. 700 square feet on the trailer, and it was, a year was good, and we're like, you know what, it's good, because we bought the property, and there was an existing trailer there, but I guess they pulled it out, and then we bought it like that, so it had already all the services ready for the trailer. So we assumed that we could go ahead and put the trailer, because he said, hey, we're good, we can, you guys can put your trailer here and everything.
And do you have any idea how long that other trailer had been there for?
Few months, I don't know, honestly, I would be lying to you if I would tell you exactly how long, because.
Oh, so you don't think it was there for very long?
Yeah, I don't think it was very long,
Oh,
so, but everything's there as far as the cables.
connections,
The tie-ins and everything's there. Yeah,
okay.
And this was for you guys
For
to live in
us,
it?
yes.
For you guys?
Yes, so,
Mr. Botello, if there had been a
Without variance before.
single wide mobile home before, and it had stayed there, and maybe it was even there before, whatever, ordinances or whatever, I guess it could have been potentially grandfathered in, that there would be an idea that there'd be maybe a grandfathered, but because maybe it was moved,
Yeah, it goes away.
it goes away.
No.
No?
I
Do
think
when do we have the grandfather
No,
provision?
so if there is a mobile home on the property and you can replace it with a single wide, if it's a single wide, you can replace it with a single wide. But you have a certain amount of time,
Mhm.
so I believe it's 6 months
Oh, I see,
to replace it.
I see.
And just to clarify also on your question earlier, that's an instance where a single wide would be allowed. And in a mobile home district, in a mobile home residential zoning district.
Oh, right. I was gonna
Ma-
say,
the-
because I'm like, I know they're
Yeah.
in our city, I've seen
The
them.
minimum square footage of the mobile or manufactured home is 500 square feet,
Okay.
and not less than 10 feet in width.
Okay, okay, well, thank you. One last question, sir.
yes, go ahead.
Were you
Mrs.
planning,
Cruz, before the question, I apologize. Sir, can you state your name for the record?
Yes, Jesus Morales.
thank you. And I know we can hear you, but the people online can't hear you if you don't have it right in front of you. That's, if you want to just pull it down a little, yeah.
They can hear me now. Right.
Yes. I had a question. I have seen different mobile homes, different setups, friends and family have them. Were you planning at all maybe to do some sort of construction that's attached to the mobile home?
In the future, yes. Right now,
Okay.
we're just trying to establish it right now. It's a reinforced trailer too, so it's strong. It's not the small, typical trailers that we got.
Right, okay.
Mhm.
And, sorry, now a question to Mr.
Oh,
Mateo. Would that, if they do build a structure out of the single wide mobile home, does that get considered as the square footage of the property? Isn't that right?
I believe if it's attached to, if there's no separation, I think the minimum is a 5 foot. Anything within 5 feet of the principal structure would be considered part of the structure.
Okay. Okay. Those are all the
So
questions. Oh,
you already bought the trailer, everything's set up just to install it there?
The trailer's ready, yes, but I have it in the lot where I bought it. So
Uh-huh.
right now I'm getting charged for having it there, you know, because I need to move it. But I want to make sure that I follow all the permits requirements, and that's why I did the investigation, you know, as far as the permits that I needed, and I came here.
Well, what I see,
But-
everything's already there and it's ready to be hooked up. And you're gonna move it in there, you and your wife, and do you have a kid
Yes,
there?
yes, we're gonna move it. Yes.
I make a motion to approve staff's recommendation.
I second that.
A second.
I have a motion made by Jesus Ruiz to approve with staff recommendations, second by Ben Aras.
No.
I apologize. David Oropesa. Second by David Oropesa. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. Moving on to item number 8, consider and take action on the variance request from the August 12, 2016 Archive Municipal Code, Section 46-293-2, subsection D, to allow a reduced rear yard setback of 5 feet from an existing structure at 10359 Toreador Place, Socorro, Texas. Mr. Botello?
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Jose Botello, planner with the City of Socorro. Item number 8 on the agenda is the variance request for 10359 Toreador Place. And so this variance request is from the former Municipal Code, Section 46-293, subsection 2D, to allow a reduced rear yard setback of 5 feet for an existing structure at 10359 Toreador Place here in Socorro, Texas. So the property owner is Ms. Bobby Jo Chavez, who is also present. The zoning for the property is R3, which is high-density residential. The size of the lot is .265 acres, which is roughly 11,552 square feet. And so the summary is, the applicant is requesting a variance to allow an existing structure to encroach the rear yard setback by 10 feet, leaving a reduced rear yard setback of 5 feet. And so for the background, the applicant is, the reason for the variance request is to comply with the City of Socorro's Municipal Code setback requirements, for a future addition to the residence. And so on the statement of the issue, Section 6-121, application referral to the Planning and Zoning Department for approval, permits not issued for work in violation of ordinances. Subsection B, it states that a permit shall not be issued for any work which would involve a violation in the zoning ordinance or any other law or ordinance, and any permit so issued shall be void. The encroachment of the principal structure in the rear violates the, the former archived municipal code, Section 46-293, subsection 2D, which is the setback ordinance, which would prohibit the issuance, of a residential permit due to this non-compliant structure. And so staff recommends approval of the variance request to allow a reduced rear yard setback of 5 feet. The alternative, of course, would be to deny the variance request. And so the next slide, you'll see the application submitted by the applicant, followed by the zoning map. You can see that the dark orange property with the yellow outline is where the property is situated. The dark orange denotes the R3 zoning designation. And followed by an aerial image of the property. Then pictures of the property that were taken from Toreador Place. And so here in the site plan, you'll see the site plan that was submitted. There's an area called out where it mentions the encroachment area. You can see that there's a 5-foot space. And then you can also see on the left site plan on the left, there's a small area. I don't know if you can see it clearly in your staff report. But there's a dashed line where the applicants are intending to propose the addition for the future. And so, in summary, the variance request is from the former Municipal Code Section 46-293, subsection 2D, to allow a reduced yard setback of 5 feet for an existing structure at 10359 Toreador Place. And at this time, staff can answer any questions.
I have a question. So if we can go back to the one that shows the outline of the property, that says existing structure, right, which is like the longer rectangle. And where it says encroachment area, is that already encroaching right now?
Yes, the outline where it says existing structure, a portion of it is about 10 feet is encroaching in the rear setback.
Right, so it's already encroaching, and then you're saying that they're proposing a future addition that would also encroach more, or just the same?
No, so according to the site plan, it's a little bit difficult to tell, with, at this scale, but you can kind of see a dashed line, a
Oh,
dashed
I see.
rectangle.
Oh, proposed, I see it now, sorry.
Mhm.
Okay, and so then you also showed how it's an R3, and most of the surrounding area is an R2. Did they receive a variance for that?
To be honest, I'm not too sure about the zoning portion of that. I know that I believe there was one inspection requested for the property, but your question is about the zoning of R3?
Right, because it seems that there is already, I don't know, I guess maybe a request made, but I was just wondering if that was the case, because I mean, everything else mostly looks yellow or R2. I had another question. Oh, from the images that were up there in the packet, it's kind of hard to see whether or not there's any sort of, other than like bushes, trees, or any foliage. It's kind of hard to tell what other structure there is in the 3 other homes. Do we know if there are any buildings that are close to that corner of where they're encroaching?
It's very difficult to tell with the aerial image. Of course, we need the permission from the applicants to enter the property, because, pictures were taken outside and from the front. It was a bit difficult to see, the proximity of the rear neighbors' structures to theirs.
Yeah. Did they, I guess, deny permission, or?
No, I mean,
Oh,
when I went out there, I didn't have much time to go out and it was a couple of minutes where I went, took the pictures, and went to the next case.
were you able to tell whether the fencing that separates the 4 properties, what material it is, whether rock wall or?
I wasn't able
Wood.
to tell at the moment.
Okay. And the applicant is here?
Yes.
Okay. Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions? Can you state your name for the record, please?
Yes, I'm Bobby Jo Chavez. I am the property owner.
Thank you. I'm trying to look at this picture. It looks like a rock wall on the bottom, and I can't tell what's up top on the back wall of your property. It looks like it's too.
The back wall is black.
I'm sorry. Can you state your name on the?
I'm Roberto Chavez.
Oh, okay, but it's like two different colors, no?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, just two different colors.
It's two different colors. The rock wall, what did you call it? The brick wall.
Yeah, black, yes.
Okay. Thank you. And whoever knows, when was that structure built? Tantele.
So you're saying the rock wall or?
No, the home, the building.
I believe like it was in 2001.
Okay.
We did purchase, I did purchase that house in 2018.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So that's why we want to do the addition, of course, because our family is growing. And so the house is it's just a 2-bedroom. So that's why we were looking into doing the whole addition for it.
Mm-hmm. And I guess, to get a better sense of the placement, let's see how much would be encroaching. Well, I can't tell. What part, Mr. Boteo, can you tell us what part would be encroaching of the proposed structure?
So there wouldn't be a, like, how I'm reading the, I'm sorry, so how I'm reading the site plan, can you see my cursor?
It's because it's in presentation mode.
No, there it is. There it goes.
Okay, so if you can follow my cursor, this is where I see the edge of the proposed addition, and this is the outline of
Right.
where they're trying to build. And their plan shows that there's a 15-foot separation, which complies with the R3 zoning setbacks.
Okay. So then that structure would comply. It's just the existing structure that doesn't.
Correct, and there's currently an ordinance that prohibits issuing building permits if there's a violation in the zoning code.
I see. So that's why they're correcting it, because you can't issue that building permit until they fix this, if it gets approved.
Yes, ma'am, correct.
Okay. And so after the building, and I guess this is a question for you, after the end of that building, what's from the end of the building to the wall? Is there, what's there?
Good evening, my name is Felipe Montañez, and yeah, from the house, and then it's center block wall.
Okay, so there's no it's dirt, sand,
No, we have concrete.
concrete,
Yeah.
okay. So no brush, no
No
trees,
no trees.
Okay. Thank you.
So this was already there when you guys bought the home, correct?
Yes, the building has been like
It was already built.
How,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
that's how the way we got it, and the only reason we're doing this because we wanna do an addition
On the
with
side,
all the
correct.
regulations, and that's it.
So I motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion made by Jesus Ruiz to approve.
Mr. Lopez.
I apologize. I have a motion made by David Oropesa to approve, second by Jesus Ruiz. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. Moving on to item number 9, consider and take action on the variance request from the Municipal Code Section 46-634, subsection 12, Section 46-6 634, subsection 24B, section 46-634, subsection 24D, and section 46-634, subsection 24E, to allow a canopy, monument, wall, and directional signs that exceed the square footage, location, and number of signs allowed instead of the requirement outlined under the Municipal Code Section 46-634, signs at 9909 North Loop Drive, Socorro, Texas. Mr. Botello?
I'm sorry if I may interrupt. I would like to motion to move up the last item so that maybe the family can get back to family business.
Second.
I have a motion made by Miriam Cruz to allow item number 11 to be moved ahead. A second by Jesus Reese. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. Moving on to item number 11, consider and take action on the variance request from the Municipal Code Section 46-639, subsection 1, to allow the keeping of large animal in a 0.383 acre property instead of the minimum 0.5 acre area requirement at 10946 East Bird Road, Socorro, Texas. Mr. Botello?
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Jose Botello, planner with the City of Socorro. Item number 11 on the agenda is the variance request at 10946 East Burt Road. So the subject for this variance request is to grant a variance from the Municipal Code Section 46-639 subsection 1 to allow the keeping of a large animal in a 0.383 acre property instead of the minimum 0.5 acre area requirement at 10946 46 East Burt Road. The property owner who is present is Mr. Alejandro Avila. The zoning designation for his property is R1, which is single-family residential. And as previously stated, the size of the property is 0.383 acres, which is about 16,683 square feet. So the applicant is requesting a variance to allow the keeping of a large animal. In this case, it would be a horse on a property under half an acre. And so a statement of the issue is that section 46-639 subsection 1 of the City of Socorro's municipal codes specifies a minimum area requirements of half an acre lot for the keeping of large animals. And so staff recommends approval of the variance request from the Municipal Code Section 46-639 subsection 1 to allow the keeping of a large animal in a 0.383 acre property instead of the minimum 0.5 acre area requirement at 10946 East Burt Road, with a condition that only one large animal be allowed on the property. And the alternate would be to deny the variance request. And so the next slide, you'll see the application submitted by the applicant, followed by the zoning map. You'll see the area in red, currently zoned R1. And followed by the aerial image of the property. And then a couple of pictures taken from East Burt Road. And followed by the site plan that was submitted by the applicant showing where the mobile home is and where the corral would be situated for the keeping of the horse. And once again, the summary of the request is a variance request from the Municipal Code, Section 46-639, subsection 1, to allow the keeping of a large animal in a 0.383 acre property instead of the minimum half acre area requirement at 10946 East Burt Road. And at this time, staff can answer any questions.
I have a couple of questions. Señor, ¿puede pasar, por favor? Para el acta, por favor, diga su nombre.
Alejandro Ávila.
Gracias. Le quería preguntar, aquí dice metal roofing corrugated panels
Ujú.
y el coral panels, movable horse coral panels, dice que es, bueno, significa que se van a poder mover, ¿no?
Sí, son de los que venden ya portables. Se arman el corralito.
Y el roof, ¿cómo está el roof si se puede mover?
Bueno, son 4 paneles que se ponen y se ponen 4 postes están anclados al suelo nomás. Es como un tejabancito para el caballo.
Okay. Entonces no van, shoot, how do you say
I think the
attached?
panels are just movable. The actual shed, itself, the shade, that's not gonna be movable.
Right, but that's what I want to ask. Lo que va a estar cubriendo, ¿verdad? El roof,
Ujú.
eso va a estar atado o junto con...
Se
el coral?
ponen los 4 postes, la lámina, y nomás se anclan con el suelo.
Ah,
Porque son movibles, son portables esos corrales. No estamos probando esto de los caballos. Entonces quiero enseñar a montar a este muchacho. Entonces, ¿ves?
¿Qué tipo de caballo es?
Yo hace 10 años estuve charreando, soy charro. Estuve practicando la charrería por 20 años. Entonces me quedó esa cosita y entonces quiero empezar a montar ahora que está mi hijo. Monte a caballo. Entonces,
Todavía no tiene el caballo.
No,
Ah.
no, todavía no.
Ah,
No, pero quiero hacer las cosas bien, por eso vine para hacer las cosas correctas.
muchas gracias.
Sí.
Y la última pregunta, yo sé que veo aquí chain link fence que como cubre parte del mobile home o la entrada.
Sí,
¿Alrededor de la propiedad también tiene fence o no?
sí, todo está. De hecho, viendo de frente de la casa, tiene una barda de 8 pies,
Okay.
6 pies, perdón, 6 pies. Y atrás pues tiene chilling fence está cercado todo, muy bien.
Todo encerrado.
La razón con la que puse eso es porque para que no se mezcle, pues quise dar más información,
Sí, sí, sí.
es todo.
Sí. Ok,
Sí.
muchas gracias.
Gracias.
¿Qué clase, dónde vas a tener el caballo? ¿Atrás?
Atrás, sí, atrás.
¿Va a tener la lámina para que no esté en el sol?
Correcto, correcto, sí.
Y nomás va a ser uno, porque...
Sí, nomás es uno.
nomás uno, y no después no vas a querer meter más caballos ahí, porque...
No creo, pues nomás es para experimentar ahí. Ahí todos los vecinos, pues veo que pasan en las mañanas a montar y pues ya se me antojó.
Sí, porque tienes que tener medio acre para tener
Sí,
dos
sí
dos
entiendo
caballos
eso.
o 3, pero este es menos, ¿verdad?
Un poquito menos, sí, un poquito menos.
Si tiene shade y todo,
Sí.
pero yo digo que sí, pero más un caballo, porque ya metes
Sí.
otro, ya es muy...
No,
es mucho.
no estamos para tanto animal, están muy caros.
Sí, y luego está
Están muy caros, es nomás ahí.
Está muy
sí.
chiquito.
Está muy chiquito, no, con uno nada más que, como le dije, que nomás quiero estar bien para que no me molesten, ¿verdad? Ni provocar, que todo esté correcto, por eso estoy aquí.
I have a question, Mr. Botello. I guess it's like curiosity. So I know that the variance is to have only one horse, right? One large animal, because it's under half an acre. So if it was, when we have the half acre, how many animals can you have? Because like if it's 2, then wouldn't a quarter of an acre suffice for one?
I think there's a mention of if you request a second animal, you have to have 6,000 square feet or so dedicated space for the additional large animal. And so, like in this case, the condition came because it's it doesn't meet the area requirements, and like Mr. Lagunas mentioned, the space. If you're introducing a second large animal, then that's sufficient space.
But I guess that's my question, because not necessarily this case related, because the summary says keeping large animal on a property under half an acre, right? And then the statement of the issue says that it doesn't meet the minimum requirements of half an acre for the keeping of large animals. So it's plural. So I guess it makes me think that if you have half an acre, that you're able to keep more than one,
Yes.
right? But then, like, again, to my point, if you do have half an acre, and if you have two, then why wouldn't you suffice with a quarter of an acre for one? That's not a question to you, but I guess that's the way I'm interpreting it, that once you meet half an acre, you're good. Like, you can have two or, you know, potentially more. But if we're stating that in order to have one, you need to have 0.33 or 0.40, why wouldn't a quarter of an acre suffice? If once you have half an acre, you can have at least two, based on the plurality of the word.
I can read that section, because it does start off with, density per
Okay.
acre limitation for livestock, 1/2 acre or more. Horses, mules, donkeys, buffalo, alpaca, bovine, minimum square footage of open lot area not including dwelling units shall be 9,000 square feet for the first animal and 6,000 square feet after for each additional animal.
How much open area?
9,000 square feet for the first animal, 6,000 square feet thereafter for each additional animal, provided the total number of such animals shall not exceed 4 per acre, 2 animals per half
What
acre.
I said, quarter of an acre.
Yeah.
So how large is this property if the minimum is 9,000 feet for one?
0.3.
It was,
Like, how much is 0.3 acres in square feet?
It's about 16,683.
So that gives you enough technically for two? 9,000 plus 6 is 15?
Well, no, you're not accounting for the living space,
Oh, yeah, no,
parking and all that.
right, but I mean,
Because
like,
it's only for the animal,
yeah.
is what it's
So,
saying.
but comfortably, you have enough for one, right? If the
Yeah.
property is
Yeah.
16,000 and if we require 9,000 for one. So I guess I don't have, I can approve it, right? Because I was just wondering, like, I was like, well, if it says multiple for half an acre, then why wouldn't quarter of an acre suffice for one? Why would we need to stipulate that in there? But yeah, but I'm good. I mean, it was just a question that I looked at and I was like, huh.
It's pretty good.
I make a motion to approve.
With
I second
the-
that.
With the
But
condition.
no more than one
Yeah.
horse, because.
Yes, I make the motion to approve as is stated, that it is approved with the condition that only one large animal, in this case a horse, be allowed on the property.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have
I'm
a
asking you.
motion, I have a motion made by Jesus Ruiz to approve with the condition to only allow for one large animal, that being a horse. A second by David Oropesa. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. Moving back to item number 9, consider and take action on the variance request from the municipal code section 46.
I am happy to read it, since I made you have to do it again. I am happy to read it.
No,
okay?
no, that's fine. Thank you, Mrs. Cruz. I'll continue. Section 46-634, subsection 12, section 46-634, subsection 24B, subsection 46-634, subsection 24D, and section 46-634, subsection 24E, to allow a canopy, monument, wall, and directional signs that exceed the square footage located at the location and the number of signs allowed instead of the requirements outlined under the municipal code section 46-634, signs at 9909 North Loop Drive, Socorro, Texas. Mr. Botello?
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Jose Botello, planner with the City of Socorro. Item number 9 on the agenda is the variance request at 9909 North Loop Drive. And so the variance requests are for the municipal code section 46-634, subsection 12, section 46-634, subsection 24B, section 46-634, subsection 24D, and section 46-634 subsection 24E, which is to allow a canopy, monuments, wall, and directional signs that exceed the square footage, location, and number of signs allowed instead of the requirements outlined under the municipal code section 46-634, which is signs at 9909 North Loop Drive here in Socorro, Texas. And so the property owner is Mr. Ryan Darby. The zoning for the property is ICMUD, which is Industrial Commercial Mixed Use Developments. The size of the property is 43,626 square feet. And so the summary, the applicant is requesting multiple variances to allow signs for a Mr. Car Wash that is currently being built at the property. The statement of the issue, referring back to section 46-634 signs of the City of Socorro's municipal codes. It outlines the restrictions for all districts regarding the size, location, type, quantity of signs permitted, in addition to other restrictions, that the signage, for this proposal of Mr. Car Wash. And so staff recommends approval of the variance request from the municipal codes sections 46-634 subsection 12, section 46-634 subsection 24B and 24D, and section 46-634 subsection 24E to allow canopy, monument, wall, and directional signs that exceed the square footage, location, and number of signs allowed instead of the requirements outlined under the municipal code section 46-634 signs at 9909 North Loop Drive here in Socorro, Texas. And the alternative would be to deny the variance request. And so there is a few, as previously mentioned, a few variance requests tied to this application. So in this next slide, you'll see the application that was submitted, followed by the zoning map showing the area in red. The purple color denotes the ICMUD zoning district, followed by an aerial image of the property. And then the following pictures were taken from North Loop Drive. The Mr. Car Wash is currently being built in the property. And then the following pictures were taken from Marketplace. And so the applicant, Mr. Gary Potts, submitted this site plan. It shows pretty clearly what the intent is for the signage proposed for Mr. Car Wash. And so I broke it down so that you can see each request. This request is to allow an 89 square foot monument sign instead of the 80 square foot maximum area required, which is outlined in section 46-634 signs subsection 24B, and variance request to allow a sign closer than 5 feet from the property line, which is outlined in the same section with subsection 24D. And in the next slide, you'll see that the request is for to allow multiple signs totaling 113 square feet instead of the single 50 square foot maximum sign allowed. And then you'll see in the small site plan on the left with the red area showing where these signs would be situated. And similar to the previous slide, this variance request in the next slide would be to allow multiple wall signs totaling 113 square feet instead of the single 50 square foot maximum area allowed for a single sign. And then the next slide, you'll see the variance request to allow multiple wall signs totaling 146 square feet instead of the single 50 square foot maximum allowable area for a sign. And then similar to the previous request, this variance would be to allow multiple signs, wall signs totaling 230 square feet instead of the single 50 square foot maximum signage allowed. The next slide shows a variance request to allow multiple directional signs totaling 16.6 square feet instead of the single 4 square foot maximum area allowed for directional signs. And then the following slide shows a similar request with the directional signs totaling 16.6 square feet instead of the single 4 square foot maximum area allowed for directional signs, followed by a similar request for multiple directional signs totaling 16.6 square feet instead of the single 4 square foot maximum area allowed for directional signs, followed by another similar request. The area is also the area for the multiple signs, being requested is 16.6 square feet. The code only allows 4 square feet for a single sign. And lastly, this variance request is to allow a canopy sign totaling 150 square feet instead of the 80 square foot maximum area required for signs, but also a variance request to allow a sign closer than 5 feet from the property line. And so in summary, the variance requests from the Municipal Code Section 46-634, subsection 12, 24B, 24D, and 24E to allow a canopy, monument, wall, and directional signs that exceed the square footage, location, and number of signs allowed instead of the requirements outlined under the Municipal Code Section 46-634 signs at 9909 North Loop Drive. And at this time, staff can answer any questions.
Is the applicant here?
The applicant is present via Zoom. Mr. Gary Potts.
I'm here.
So the applicant for the next one isn't here? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. I have a few questions. And these are for the applicant. On the first variance that you're requesting, it's a 9 square foot difference. Why can't you meet the ordinance?
The if you look at the graphics on there, the graphics totaling are only about 46 square feet of graphics, but the ordinance requires that we include all of the blank space as well as total sign square footage. So this is our standard 15-foot tall sign, and when we designed the sign, it was set so that it was, we thought we were well under the 80 square foot maximum based on the sparkle and then the free vacuums and then the Mr. Car Wash panel. So that is just our standard size for the 15-foot tall sign. The Mr. in itself is set so that it's visible from the proper distance so that we can have proper wayfinding, so people can identify the parcel and then make a determination if they want to visit the site or not.
I may be wrong, but I mean, you're probably going to be the only car wash, right, in that area?
I don't know, have you seen?
I don't know.
But, I mean, I guess I'm just wondering, because eventually there will be buildings next to you, I'm assuming.
Gas station.
There might be a gas station, but I guess I don't know, maybe it's just personal experience when I see a car wash, I know it's a car wash. You know, I don't feel like well, that's just me, but, okay, I have more questions, so then, and you might say, copy and paste my answer to what you just said, because some of them,
No problem.
You're asking for like 63 square foot difference, 96. On one of them, you're asking for 180, which is almost 5 times a difference of what we have. The
Sure.
other ones are times 3, 126 different, no, yeah, 12.6 difference of square feet. Is it the same answer, or are there other reasons why you're asking for such different variants?
Sure. So as far as the wall signs are concerned, this property is serviceable on 3 sides. So we have, this is a very busy site once the people are on site, and we need to have the proper identification for the signage. The size of the signs do play a vital role, again, with visibility and legibility for the proper font sizes to make it legible. And then obviously the exit sign on the building itself is important, because we don't, believe it or not, we have people that will go the wrong way into the car wash without proper signage. So in order for the traffic to flow and to make everything safe for the consumers and for the employees, it's important that we have signage in the number and the sizes that we're requesting.
Sure. And I guess it could be argued that, design would help with any sort of those types of issues, right? So if it was designed in a very easy flow, one way in, one way out, maybe that could have been averted. And I mean, you guys already designed it, it's already being built. So why not have an entrance off of North Loop, since that does sort of make, sense? Why is it the exit? Unless I'm reading it wrong.
No,
It looks like the
I'm
entrance is.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at mine as well. It's kind of faint on the screen. So, yeah, there is only one entrance in. I don't know. Usually the architect would look, and the engineers would look into that and see what's the proper routing. I honestly, I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
Where are they going in through then?
I have a question for you. Don't you see it's an overkill on signs, and as big as they want to put them up? It's an overkill, isn't it, right there on North Loop? You could tell it's a car wash. Why so many signs, and why so big of signs? In your opinion, what do you think? It's too much, don't you?
He's recommending the approval, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, so like Mr. Gary Potts mentioned, it's a standard, you see a Mr. Car Wash, you can see one along East Lake. There's several within, the city or the city of El Paso. So they're standard, I guess it's their brand, right? The way they present their business. I mean,
I want to piggyback off of that, if I may, and maybe this will simplify things for me anyway. We have Fast Track down the street, right? Did we also
here.
approve their variances for their signs? Because I know that, I don't know if it's the same amount of signs or the same size, but
I don't think they have that many signs.
was that something that came through the Board of Adjustments, or did they meet the everything when they built it? I don't know if you
Fast
remember.
Track, which,
It's right here.
The one right next to the Speedway across
We're all pointing in a different
from-
direction, like, it's right here.
Yeah, I guess it's the red one
So you
off of
drive
North
down
Loop.
Rio Vista and then a right on North Loop, and it's a car wash on your left hand.
oh, I see. To be honest, that was beyond
Okay.
my time.
Because I guess I feel like I totally understand the questions about the signs and the size of them and that good stuff, right? But I think we kind of had the same issue a couple of meetings back where we had the gas station and they were requesting the sign and the length of it or whatnot, right? But then I feel like if we approve the Fast Track sign, which to my knowledge is the only like genuine car wash that we have, like in the style of Tommy's and Mr. Car Wash and Fast Track, right? And if they were approved with the signs that they have and the size of them, and then we have somebody else coming in and are asking for the same thing, I kind of feel like it's the same thing with the gas station, where we have so many gas stations around town with similar designs and specs and variances, and we approve them on a fairly regular basis, and then we decline the last one. So now we have a similar situation, in my view, with the car wash, where they're coming in with variance requests, which they're able to do, and then if we decline it, I mean, that's fine, that's the decision of the board. But then I'm kind of curious about the fast track that we went ahead and approved theirs, and it's similar signs, I would say. I don't know if, like Miriam said, maybe they have less or whatnot, but I guess that would be my question, just, you know.
I think another thing is that if we let them do it, then all the other businesses are gonna wanna say, hey, why, how come you guys didn't let us? Now, we're gonna have a whole line of businesses here trying to put up signs.
Huge signs.
Huge
too.
signs, yeah.
These are huge signs, and going that way right there in North Loop, they need to be regulated the same that it's supposed to be, not make them bigger. Because later we're gonna have a lot of businesses down North Loop. Everybody's gonna wanna cover North Loop with signs.
Which isn't a bad thing, having lots of businesses in Socorro.
Yeah, that's good. but
Correct.
not
Having lots
having-
of what?
Lots of businesses.
Yeah.
No, business isn't
If I
bad,
could just say
but-
something, this is a kind of a unique parcel in that it's not the parcel itself, but the business model is that you have 3 rows of cars coming in off of Marketplace. They're going to select their lane of traffic based on the canopy signs, the exit, and the 2 unlimited members. So if they are unlimited members, they get to choose the 2 lanes to the right. If they are just regular cash customers, they have to select the line to the left, and then everybody merges to 1 lane. Then they enter the car wash tunnel, then they exit the car wash tunnel, and then they can go in and have a vacuum, a free vacuum. So it's not like a typical business, whereas you go in, you park, you go in, you take some transactions, you go back to your car and leave. Everybody pretty much stays in their car unless they're going to go vacuum. And it's important that those people, while they're in their car, they continue and they understand which way they're to travel, so that the traffic doesn't back up onto Market Street. So I do understand the staff's concern about, or the board's concern about too much signage, but I can certainly attest that we were in front of a board in Holland, Michigan, and they didn't want to approve the directional signs, but they thought they were too much, and we opened the store without them. And one of the board members visited the site and got their car hit because the person was going the wrong way. So we were back in front of the board and got our directional signs after the fact, but unfortunately one of the board members' cars was struck because people just, they don't pay attention, unfortunately.
I understand what we're talking about, and directional signs are very important. But here you're asking Mr. Car Wash on top of free vacuums. I mean, they're already there. Can you just leave free vacuums? And it's just.
Can we remove the free vacuum sign?
The over exceedings of, it's just, you're asking, our variance says what, 50?
Sure,
And
we can remove the free
you're
vacuum
asking
sign
for
if that's a
like
concern of the board, or
150.
certainly.
It's just stuff that, I understand what you're saying about safety and car directions, and I understand that people tend to go in where they're not supposed to, and you do need those for safety and for traffic. And I could see why you put the entrance through Marketplace. That way you won't hold up traffic on North Loop, since it's very highly trafficked. But I mean, directional is good. It's just you put Mr. Car Wash on everything that you have, and I think that's why you're exceeding the permitted square footage. And I know you have to put Mr. Car Wash because it is your business. But I mean, in the vacuum.
Right, and it's visible from 3 sides. I mean, it's an
Exactly.
accessible building from 3 sides of the property.
Exactly. So,
So,
I mean,
yeah,
that's a
can we remove the
recommendation
free vacuums?
that I would give you.
That would be fine. We can do that if that's the board was requesting that. We could remove the free vacuums off of the sign F. That would remove 84 square feet from that.
Yeah, because on the side of your building, you already have Mr. Car Wash twice. I'm pretty sure it's in the back and in the front. Yeah, it is.
It's on 3 sides of the tower,
Yeah.
yes.
This is Marwan, the attorney. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple things. There was a question on the fast track car wash. You know, I don't recall that one coming before the Board of Adjustments or when it did, if it did, but I'm not sure if that one is also zoned ICMUD because it's been there for a while. ICMUD came out just a few years ago. So it might be that the sign requirements for some of those other car washes are actually in a different zone, as opposed to this one. The second thing I might add is when ICMUD was created, it was meant to be kind of a flexible zoning for commercial development. It doesn't necessarily contemplate, because the sign requirements in there, and I think why there's a variance request, it didn't contemplate that, okay, car washes are going to come in and that they need directional signs and a lot of them. So that's just a couple comments I just wanted to note to the board on why those particular sign requirements are in there. The third thing is on the legal side is we would encourage signage, and I think everybody's noted this for safety reasons, for public safety as well. I think looking out on the legal side, there's a lot of the signage is used up by directional signs, and I think also because people are in vehicles that you actually need larger signs so they can see it while they're sitting inside their car. So anything that encourages at least public safety, on the legal side, I think is a good idea for the city. But I just wanted to note that those kind of comments, at least, and an explanation, I think, on why the code is written a certain way. So.
Mr. Potts, I have a question. Are you saying that if
Yes.
you didn't approve the variances, you would not put in the directional signs?
The directional signs?
Right. So, I mean, the directional signs are there, and what you're asking for is for them to be bigger. So my question is, you mentioned Michigan, and you said that board didn't approve directional signs, and here we wouldn't necessarily be denying or approving directional signs. We would just be approving a variance. Well, if we were to approve, we'd be approving a variance making them bigger from what we have in the code, right?
Right.
So are you saying that you
And
wouldn't put
again,
in-
I think what we're looking at here, we could put up a regulatory sign that would look like a post and panel sign, like something like a handicap sign with a post and then a panel. But that's not the look that Mr. Car Wash is going for. They want it to they look at themselves as kind of an upscale retail location. So they have these things, but your ordinance measures to the overall height and width. So we're only looking at, for text, only 6 inches of text here by 2 feet, and then the sparkle here. So there's not a lot of graphic on there. It's just the design of it doesn't comply with your code, with the way that the code measures
So,
the
we can stop
overall height and width.
I'm sorry, we could stop the slides there. For example, vacuums and exit on that sign could be bigger if you didn't have the stars, right?
Well, you could, but you want to also employ some negative space around vacuums, because if you make those words too big, then you kind of lose, believe it or not, you lose legibility when you fill up the entire panel itself with the word vacuum. Part of legibility is to also have some negative space.
Sure, I agree. I think there's a Harvard study that I read on having the words all caps. But
We could remove the sparkles if that would please the board off of there. I mean, obviously they're already on site, so they know it's Mr. Car Wash. That's an option if that's something that board's agreeable to.
Okay, and I have another question. On the last page of the supplemental documents, it says, in a variance request to allow a sign closer than 5 feet to the property line. I don't know how much closer, and I don't know what section of the area, like what area are we talking about? Is it the side part over here? I'm sorry, we can go to the last, it should be the last slide. Oh, is it that? No.
It is this, yeah, it's that one there.
Yeah.
So again, the ordinance measures the canopy itself the 44 inches by 41 feet. That's how we come up with 150 square feet. But technically, that word, the enter and the unlimited member, the enter is 9.9 square feet. Unlimited members are 11.9 square feet each. So that's how, and I believe the structure itself is considered a sign per your ordinance. And the structure itself is closer than 5 feet. So that's why it doesn't comply with the code. And I believe that Mr. Mateo could correct me if I'm incorrect.
Right, but how much closer, or how close is it to the property line?
Let me zoom in here. Looking at the site plan, it looks like the structure itself is right on the property line. The northwest corner of the northwest edge of it is right on the property line.
Thank you.
I have a question for Mr. Boteo. So kind of going off of what Mr. Laguna said and Mr. Lopez and Ms. Cruz, just I guess I want to ask, the recommendation is to approve all the variances, right? Like that's the recommendation from staff, is to approve the variance request, right?
Yes.
Right. So then my question is, so as we go through the different pages, and as they have pointed out, like some of these are, going back to like the horse, right? Where it's like half an acre and we're giving them the opportunity to be one horse if it's, under or whatnot. So like some of these, like the 230 instead of the 50 square feet. And there's a couple of those where they exceeded, or like Miriam said, like by 4, in that case, a little bit more than 4. So from the staff point of view, what made the recommendation be to approve it if we see some of those large numbers? Like, do we feel confident in saying, like, this variance should be approved and because of X reason?
I guess it would be, there's similar signage, like you mentioned, the fast track,
But that wasn't taken into consideration, right? Because, we were talking about that. It wasn't like something that you were aware of.
Right. We understand that signage is a vital role for businesses to be identified, the car wash is within the city limits, so it would generate revenue, for the city, and so we see it more as like a positive, impact.
So it was like a business decision.
I guess you could see it like that.
So I guess my question is because if we look at them, right, and if we go like one at a time, kind of like how we're doing now, and we're talking about the stars and the length, the size of the entrance and the exit. So did we look at this and say, which we didn't, right, because the recommendation is to approve it, but could we have gone ahead and said yes to this one, no to this one, minimize this one, rather than apply kind of like a blanket yes to them all? Like, did we look at the specific variances and have that conversation, or just that thought, like, okay, like this is requesting 4 times the square footage, maybe make it like in the alternative, make the recommendation to approve, but with this square footage instead, rather than kind of like having the conversation that we're having now, which is, well, what about this or what about that? I guess like something like this, like I understand what you're saying, like I mentioned right now, if they're saying like we're having lots of businesses to Socorro, well, that's great, right? But I guess with situations like this where you have so many variances rolled into one, would it be best to kind of break them up and say, hey, look, I do agree that we can issue a recommendation to approve it, but maybe not 230, maybe 100, maybe, or I don't know, just, I guess I was just asking because like the recommendation is to approve it as is, but then we're getting into the, the individual ones, and there are individuals, but we're placing the yes on all of them. So I was just wanted to ask about that.
Yeah, it's something to consider for, for future similar requests.
I'm going to make a motion to approve only the variances that apply to the directional signs, meaning the ones that say enter exit, do not enter, the ones that have arrows, and deny the rest.
I second it.
I have a motion made by Miriam Cruz to approve, but only the directional signs that state exit or enter only, and second by Albert Lagunas. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any nays?
Nay.
Nay.
Any abstain? Motion failed.
I would like to make a motion to table this item and allow staff to look at the various variances and come back with either the same recommendation or recommendations for each specific variance based on the professional opinion of the staff. I would like to just table
I
it.
second that.
I have a motion made by Jesus Ruiz to table item number 9 to go over staff recommendations. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
And second by David Oropesa. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. Moving on to item number 12,
I move
11.
to table this if the applicant's not present.
Oh, I apologize. Moving on to item number 10.
But we still have to table it.
Is this the question about item number 9? Table it to a specific, like, to the next meeting?
Oh, no, I was talking about item 10.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
I ap-
Yeah,
that
no,
what you
no,
were-
but, because Miriam's making a motion to table it.
Yes, and
So-
that's fine, you can make a motion.
Just to, I'm confirming they're not present.
Yeah, it is not.
Okay.
That's good.
Yes, we are moving on. I apologize. We are moving on to item number 10. Consider and take action on the variance request.
Yeah, she can read it and then like we'll take the motion.
On the variance request from the formal municipal code section 46-634, subsection 12, section 46-634, subsection 18, section 46-634, subsection 23C, and section 46-634, subsection 23D, to allow a monument sign, wall, sign, and directional signs exceeding the maximum square footage, height, and number of signs allowed instead of the requirement outlined under the municipal code section 46-634, signs at 11340 Gateway Boulevard East, Socorro, Texas. Mr. Botello?
Are we gonna, we have a
A
motion.
motion to table for the next meeting
I'll second it.
because the applicant is not here.
I have a motion made by Miriam Cruz to table item number 11 due to absence of applicant, second by Jesus Ruiz. All those in favor of the
I think
motion?
it's item 10.
Aye.
I think you said 11, that's why.
Oh, I apologize.
It's okay.
It was at the table, item number 10.
Yes. Aye.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. Now moving on to item number 12, consider and take action on the adjournment of this meeting.
I'd like to take up some housekeeping matters. I don't know if we can do that. The next meeting that's scheduled for May, I will be out of the country. I hope to have reception where I am and appear via Zoom. But I'm just giving you a heads up, so that, Mr. Laguna, so that you might be ready to take the reins in case I'm not able to
All right.
be present. And then the same thing for June, unfortunately, I will also be out of town. And so, again, I plan to appear via Zoom. I will be in the country, I'll be in Texas, so that should be easier. But I just wanted to give everyone a heads up and let Mr. Lagunas know so he might be prepared, just in case.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cruz. Do I have a motion?
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Se quieren ir.
I have a motion made by Marion Cruz to adjourn meeting, second by David Oropesa. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstain? Motion carried. The meeting is adjourned at 7:25. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.